So, first clip of part 2, coming up over the Rainy Lake, just out of Fort Francis, and this is a stretch of road off of number 11 that will never get old for me to drive over. I really am just infatuated with this area, just the expanse of water and the endless opportunities for exploration and pretty cool stuff. I think one day I'll have a cabin somewhere up here and I'll spend like 5 months a year when I retire, which will be in like 40 years. But I just wanted to get this area because I think it's so cool. Alright, so I just left Red Lake, Ontario about half hour ago or so, and now the road just turned into a single lane. I'm about 5 kilometers away from the Johnson Lake entry point, and my entry point, which is Leano Lake, is still a ways away. But if you are curious about the road conditions, this is what they look like. Probably an hour or so. But yeah, here's what I have to look forward to for the next, I don't know, 20 or 30 kilometers. Alright, so it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon right now. We just got to the Leano Lake entry point. That puts me at about a solid 12 and a half hours to get up here. I thought it would be more like 9 and a half, but this road was pretty rough coming in, and when I last said it was about 20 or 30 kilometers to get to the entry point, it turned out to be 49 kilometers. But this is the most popular entry point of the park, and there are only 4 other vehicles here right now. And who knows, once I get past Leano, I might not see another person the entire time, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways, real quick, we'll look at when I'm bringing in what I have. Before we went over all the gear that I would bring in, I didn't show it packed, but this is what it looks like. And here we have the infamous 87-pound shoulder burner. I'll be running the oars with it this time. That's going to help me move quite a bit faster on the lake versus just having a single paddle. I stopped in Red Lake in Harlan over at Red Lake Outfitters. Thought it was pretty funny, but perhaps in the future I'll rent a nice lightweight Kevlar canoe from him. But in the meantime, we'll continue making some memories with the shoulder burner. Here's the sign at the entry point, and real quick we'll take a look at where I'll be going, hopefully today. Entering right here, we're going to have a 300-meter portage, and enter Leano. And I'm going to come up here, 300-meter one, and hopefully I'll get to Bunny Lake today, get set up with camp, and have some time to chuck for some lake trout and see where it goes from there. But it's been a long time coming. Been planning this trip on and off for about 6 months. Reality is here, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. And one last important thing to note is when you are leaving your vehicle unattended in bear country for multiple days at a time, definitely want to make sure you don't have any food scraps or anything like that inside the vehicle and end up coming back with a bunch of scratches or your hood all dented up from a bear climbing on top of it. So just a little tip for you. Well, we're officially on Leano Lake, and here's what the setup is going to look like for the next 2 weeks. We got Isla holding things down up in the bow. A few bugs are bothering her, but it's not too terrible. Got the CCS bag and the food bag right behind her, and then I have the lightweight 35-liter dry bag and her food bag right here. Hooked with this setup, and it's not too terribly uncomfortable. At least with a lot of short portages fairly frequently. It gives me a good chance to get out of the canoe, stretch a little. Alright, so we have officially made it to Bunny Lake, and I don't know, it probably took me a couple hours to get here. And I was going to shoot for one of these two campsites, and then I found this one to the north, if you can see that. It's right on this little point here. And what's very attractive about this particular site is there's a nice wind from the north coming across Bunny Lake, and the mosquitoes are a little bit worse than I thought they were going to be, so it'll be nice to have a little breeze this evening to provide a little break for myself, and they're really starting to bug, I can tell. But we're going to go set up the tent, and then there's a couple islands out here. I think what I'm going to do is just start trolling the shoreline over here with a Rapala, and then we'll drift back and possibly catch a lake trout for dinner. Nice meaty northern. Not a lake. So, if you ever ask yourself, why do I go on these trips? This scene right here pretty much sums it up. Perfect evening on Bunny Lake. Jigging for lake trout. Although I haven't had any bites, it's still all good. Alright, well, day one is officially in the books. Overall, it was a pretty good day, although I spent most of the day in the vehicle driving. Isla's getting pretty fed up with that. Now she's running around playing with sticks and having a good time. Fishing overall on Bunny Lake was pretty slow. Didn't have any bites except for the last 10 minutes or so of fishing. I was trolling a tail dancer, and a northern hit it. If I really wanted to clean it, I could have had it. It was decent size and everything, but I was really hoping for a lake trout. So the plan will be tomorrow morning, get up early if I can, and try to make the push all the way to Mexican Hat. We'll see how it goes. Maybe do a little bit of fishing on the way. It sounds like the lakes from here to Mexican Hat Lake mostly have northern in them. So if I want to have a little afternoon shore lunch, I might give that a shot. But overall, first day, pretty nice. Couple showers on the way in, and yeah, if it was like this every day, life would be good. Alright, it's early Tuesday morning, just taking off from the camp on Bunny Lake. We didn't get any rain showers or anything like that overnight, so it was nice breaking down the tent this morning and getting everything packed up while it was dry. Right now it looks like pretty favorable conditions for travel today. Partly cloudy, and hopefully the rain holds off for most of the day. Today's going to be the longest paddle I have in any one day of the entire trip, making the push from Bunny Lake over to Mexican Hat. Just kind of a meandering river lake system, 11 portages. Not looking forward to that too much, but fortunately they're all pretty short, so they'll go pretty quick. Alright, and so far on this trip, Isla has been an absolute rock star with her little backpack. When we pull up to a portage, she sits down and waits patiently for me to hook her up. I grabbed a bungee cord because it tends to get lopsided if I don't do this. The weight, because I think she's come to realize that it's worth carrying the weight because she knows there's a reward at the end of it. All right, first portage. Second portage of the day for day 2. 2 down, 9 to go. All right, so this is an 80 rod portage. It's not the longest, but this is going to be the toughest one yet, just in terms of not having a real solid path and having to dance across boulders to get from one end to the other. And you can see that if it had rained recently, this could be pretty treacherous to climb up and down. Hyla's figuring it out though. Oh yeah, she knows what's going on. And I also just got to an area that burned last May. If you can see the dead jack pine back along this hillside. And I am on the eastern edge of a flank that ran to the north. And then everything to the west or east to me is all green black spruce and jack pine. And from now until I get to Mexican Hat Lake, I'm mostly going to be paddling through the area that burnt. So it should be interesting to check out, and at some point in time, I'm going to spend a couple hours one afternoon and just go walk around in it and explore and check out the regeneration that has occurred since then. One note that the staff made was that since the fire occurred so early last May, they were seeing regeneration already by late summer. And typically this far north with the fires, and when they occur, the regeneration doesn't typically start until the next spring. But just standing right here, looking up on the rock ledge here, I can see a lot of green, so should be cool. So there are a bunch of minnows stacked up in the current here, probably getting food and having a good source of oxygen. I'm just hoping the walleyes on Mexican Hat are stacked up like this evening. Alright, well, it's early afternoon. I just made it on to East Lunch Lake. And I think what I'm going to do, in addition to trying to catch some sun on my shoulders, I'm going to try to catch a northern for lunch. I've been craving a fish fry since this morning, so hopefully East Lunch Lake can produce. So here's the portage from East Lunch Lake to Lunch Lake, and this is 13 months post-fire. This is mid-June 2017, and I was thinking that there was going to be more blueberries popping up this year, but there's not a ton. There's just kind of scattered bushes every now and then you can see here these are young jack pines coming up, and with this being a forest dominated by black spruce and jack pine, it's a fire dependent community. And this fire was incredibly intense. You can see, I mean, no doubt about it, this was a crown fire that ripped through here. Absolutely everything burnt up. But now, again, we got a fair amount of jack pine popping up, a cinquefoil, a variety of different grasses and forbs. There's still a lot of black, but in the coming years this will transform and will become unrecognizable compared to what we're seeing right now. And you can see how thick of a forest this was. Actually, that almost looks like a moose track right there. Good chance. But you can see how thick this forest was before the fire. And now it's just complete. Here's a little bit of a fall that comes into Lunch Lake from East Lunch. Well, on Mexican Hat, and I finally connected with a walleye. Alright, well, it's Wednesday morning on beautiful Mexican Hat Lake. Yesterday was a really long day, a lot of portages, ton of paddling, so I slept in, and now it's probably getting closer to 9:30 in the morning. But I had breakfast, made up a Nalgene of coffee, and I'm just going to try jigging for walleyes for a little bit. When I got up an hour ago, the sun, it was cloudy, but now the sun came out and it's pretty blue skies, so not very good for walleye fishing. But I'm just going to hang out, drink some coffee, and read up on the Woodland Caribou signature site. And the park staff gave me this, and this includes not only information on Woodland Caribou Provincial Park, but also some proposed park additions and forest reserves and enhanced management areas. So it includes a huge area up here in Northwest Ontario, which is pretty awesome to have an area like this protected, especially when you're dealing with species of concern like the woodland caribou. I'm in the area where the woodland caribou are right now, but they are a secretive animal, and I don't know, maybe one of these mornings when I'm out paddling around, early morning, I'll be able to catch one on the side of the lake or something. But it's going to be a perfect afternoon for trolling rapalas and chucking spoons for lake trout, so maybe I'll be able to connect that way. At any rate, we're going to have a fish fry by the end of today. Nice walleye. All right. Second fish on for the day on Mexican Hat. I stopped to throw this tube jig and hoping for a lake trout, but a walleye hit. That other one turned out to be 20 inches, so I let that one go. But this one will be perfect for a little fish fry. It's probably about 15 inches. And finally, I get my fish fry. Well, it's looking like there's a chance of a shower this afternoon. So I figured that's a good opportunity to fillet up this walleye and have some lunch. Well, it's pretty tough to beat a shore lunch when you know the fish was swimming around less than 20 minutes ago. Where I stopped for lunch is the island campsite on Mexican Hat Lake. Pretty nice site. Here's your fire pit. A little shelter area here if you want to set up a tarp if it's a rainy day. And then if you come back here, we have the area where you can set up your tent or tents. And this is definitely a spot that could accommodate one large tent or probably two smaller ones. Left camp. Here's a nice walleye, I guarantee it. I just want to see it. You know, you always get to that point where you have a nice fish on and it's like, just let me see it. Is it 2.5 pounds or is it 7 pounds? Look at that. There's a nice walleye. So I found this bar that's about 10 to 12 feet, and then on either side of it, it drops off significantly. And I'm just pitching this white tube jig, bouncing it right off the bottom, and the walleyes are just stacked up in there, and it's a blast. But after this one, I think I'm gonna have to paddle away and go for some lake trout. And pretty tough to beat catching these all afternoon. All right, I had to catch one more. A little guy. Look at the size of that tube jig compared to this little walleye. Well, shortly after I caught the last walleye, the rain started, and it's already been about 2 hours. To the west, it's all gray. It doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime soon. So I'm just going to hang out under the tarp and I guess do some reading. I got the... Well, I did end up getting the campsite on Mexican Hat Lake that I wanted to. The portage is right over here. And obviously we have the rapids coming in, and in a minute I'll grab the Nikon and zoom in on it so you can get a better idea what that looks like. Right here where the rapids comes in, you can catch northern and walleye pretty easily. The water level is down, I would guess about 1.5 to 2 feet. Otherwise the rapids coming in there would be a lot more impressive. Pretty good wind exposure right here, which is nice because the mosquitoes are starting to come out. It's about 7 p.m. now. Got your fire pit. Since it's been raining for the past 5 hours, I set up the blue tarp, and I'm just kind of sorting through my gear and getting everything packed away for tonight, because hopefully early tomorrow morning, if the weather's nice, I'll be heading to Wrist Lake. And then back here is, so remember this is a 2-person tent, and this spot would accommodate a 4-person, but probably nothing bigger, and it wouldn't really work well for 2 4-person tents, unless you had one set up right back here. Or you could easily have one, well, you could have a tent here, but there's going to be some tree roots and rocks. And then where my tarp is, you could definitely have a tent as well. So if you're coming in with a group of, I don't know, 6 people or something, you got a few tents, this site would work. I don't know if I like this site better or the one where I fried that walleye up earlier today. The fishing was really good out in front of that island spot where I was at earlier, but this is nice because you got the falls to listen to when you go to bed at night. Overall rating, pretty good.